So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our webinar, which will be focusing on the PE certificate, which is a joint initiative of HEC Liège Luxembourg and the LPEA, which is the Luxembourg Private Equity and Venture Capital Association. Before passing on to also Jens, who will give you more details about the program, I wanted to share with you, in the meantime, a few slides concerning the Luxembourgish ecosystem and to see with you together how it has evolved over the last years and also what kind of opportunities you could discover while joining us in the future. Let me quickly here then switch to, let's say, my presentation. Which you should see on the screen right now. Just putting here the full screen. All right. So the LPEA is a trade association, really specialized on private equity and venture capital. Next year, we will have our 15th anniversary, so it's an important milestone. We started with 25 members in 2010 and have now reached 580 members. In order to make it, let's say, quick and easy to understand, we have three categories of memberships. The first ones are the investment managers or the GPs, the LPs, who are the famous investors, and also family offices. Those would be called the full members. And then we have certainly also a very important category of players, which are the service providers and advisory firms. Here you will find the classical Big Fours, the law firms, the fund administrations, the depositories, third-party AFMs, tax consultants and advisors, etc., etc. And then we have also a third category composed of private persons. Those persons would typically be either independent directors, entrepreneurs, or even founders of startups. Our goal as a trade association, as you can imagine, is, let's say, threefold. First of all, we are here to, let's say, represent and also defend the interest of the community, and that we do when we do roadshows, be it here in Luxembourg, webinars, but also abroad. What we also do, and which has really grown over the last years, is the public affairs, public advocacy part, where we are in close contact with the different authorities, ministries, ministers, and certainly also other, let's say, entities here in Luxembourg, and discuss together how to make Luxembourg, again, more competitive. And the third one is also around education. That's why we had created many years ago our own LPEA Academy and have always really loved to collaborate together with HEC Liège around that PE certificate, because in our eyes, it's a very important element in order to grow Luxembourg, the ecosystem, and also further evolve. If we now look at our partners, it's here not just to show you lots of logos, but it really clarifies how deeply we are embedded within the entire financial ecosystem, starting with the Luxembourg for Finance for the promotion, Alfie, our friends for the investment funds, including also the UCITS, ETFs, and other strategies. We also work hand in hand with the bankers, the insurance firms. ESG is certainly very important. Business angels, startups, etc., etc., also very, let's say, important in our eyes, and therefore we always wanted to collaborate together with them. We also pan-European association via Invest Europe, which is sitting in Brussels, and they represent also our interest with the European Commission and also the members of the European Parliament. That's very important. And since I mentioned different roadshows, we also go to all those other cities. You really recognize certainly some interesting names like France Invest for France, PVCA for the UK, BAE for Germany, etc., etc. All those associations are our cousins, and we work hand in hand in order to make the industry stronger, better in the future, and also to find the right talents, which are very important. This is a quick slide on our technical committees and clubs. This is absolutely not to hire you today for those, because if you would if you would join a firm which would be a member of the association, you could certainly also participate in those different committees, but it's really to underline the diversity of topics which are important nowadays. So Luxembourg is certainly known for its toolbox, but the tax aspects are very important, also the operations, and then all the super interesting innovating strategies which have grown over the last years tremendously in Luxembourg, including secondaries, infrastructure, and certainly private credit and private debt. Those are just examples. This is just to show you the depth of the topics. You are certainly are in the beginning generalists. You have done some specific studies, sometimes with a specialization, but that's why it's so important to grasp from the beginning on that here you will need also to look at specific topics which you would have potentially not thought of in the beginning, and therefore to have a holistic overview of what is important for private equity and venture capital completely makes sense. And that is something which you can certainly find with the P certificate then organized by HEC Liège Luxembourg and ourselves. This is also statistics from Preqin, which is a reference for private equity markets and private capital. Here it's really to show you that over the last years, you see this blue graph which represents Luxembourg, and that underlines the 61% of alternative funds which have been created in Europe and have been finding or choosing Luxembourg as the right domicile. You have the same for private equity funds, which is reaching around 51%. So that really underlines again that we have done our homework, that we have made Luxembourg interesting enough and really competitive in order then to have all those fund managers choose Luxembourg, define their operations here and grow them in the future. That's important to keep in mind. If we look now at the private markets and private equity size, those are the statistics provided by our supervisory regulator and authority, which is the CSSF. So usually you have heard in many press articles the 5.2 trillion assets under management, NAV based. If we look at the alternatives, that's the blue color. There we have already 2 trillion. And if we now take a deeper look now at just private equity, we have reached, and we're very proud of that, the 865 billion assets under management. And if you look at the statistics at the bottom on the right, look at the progression we have undergone over the last years. This really shows once more that if you want to, let's say, create a good career in investment funds, alternatives should really have your focus, and you should also be then well equipped in order to do so. Because it's always important to remember that one of Luxembourg's biggest strengths in the investment fund sector is its location, its experience. It's also not just by luck the second biggest fund center in the world, which has also taken then X years, here more than 30 years, to reach that. But I mean, here it's important that we continue this legacy and growth story also with the alternatives. If I would add on top the private debt funds, that would kind of correspond to 510 billions. Those are the numbers, the most recent numbers, next to the 404, which you see here on the slide. That would give you already kind of the 1.3 trillion assets just with our classical strategies. That's important to keep in mind. We tackle private equity, venture capital, again, fund of funds, secondaries, infrastructure, private debt and credit, and distress sometimes. Here are the names you might find here in Luxembourg. They either have complete operations here, sometimes even including some front office, but most of them have at least the management company, the distribution capacities, the investment funds. That is also a nice evolution. If we look back at 2013, where once the AFMD, the Alternative Investment Funds Directive, was introduced, that changed a lot and has really grown in that direction. So we're very proud of that middle office, which has also reached a good maturity here in Luxembourg, where you find compliance profiles, but also risk managers, valuation specialists, and other ones which you would have not, let's say, imagined in Luxembourg yet. So, for example, investor relations is also something trendy, where some of the firms are kind of looking at such profiles in the future. But I mean, private equity and the industry is highly qualitative. It was always very institutional and professional. So it's important that you also gather the right experience with the right players. And there are different ways in order to achieve that. And that's exactly what I wanted to show here. First of all, the EU hub. Here we have already mentioned the tax efficient and neutral structures, the legal structures, also the toolbox and the passporting. That you should always keep in mind, because those would be, let's say, key advantages for your, let's say, first pitch, but also once you do your interviews to be hired in those very interesting segments. Luxembourg, for those who would not know us yet, I mean, here it's the stability, be it both political or economic, which plays an important role. The short ways, always business-friendly environment, multilingual, and also then good living standards. So we try to always enhance that. But back to my point before, you know, with the slide with the different investment managers here, those are the different ways how to enter the field. Typically, it would be directly starting with a private equity or venture capital firm, but here we need to be realistic. This still represents, let's say, a minority of the job positions, because here those are very specific now profiles, which then you should also then be exposed to before. So potentially joining then such firms via here their entity in Luxembourg, or doing eventually another journey before joining the GPs in the future. And how do you do that? Usually one of the best ways, and where Luxembourg is very keen to have such new talents joining us and also trusting them directly with responsibilities, is to choose the way of service providers, where then via the big fours, the law firms, the administrators, depositories, and AFMs, you could also then reach some very similar positions. Like sometimes you can certainly start, for example, as an accountant or legal officer, but don't forget that also the GPs, so the private equity and venture capital firms, also need similar profiles, be it also at the risk valuation, business development, or legal angle. So it's very important that you gather the right experience, get the right studies and education in order to make that happen, because we have so much to offer in our field, and that's exactly why we are here for. So that was all on my side. Just to underline, we are a small team, very entrepreneurial. We like really the agility, the flexibility, and those are core values, which you also find back in private equity. I mean, those are really professionals of the finance, of the operations, and also then of, let's say, how could we call that? Also the entrepreneurship, which then in the end makes really the difference, because it's not kind of a boring job. You continuously evolve, you need to show curiosity, and that's why, again, we are here for. And now that's it on my side. I will gladly pass on to Jens, who will then expose you a little bit and share more details concerning this certificate.
Thank you very much, Stefan, for the introduction. My name is Jens Solomon. I'm one of the professors teaching the private equity course. The other one is Gunther Fischer. And we have two professors for this course because we want to show two angles. We want to show the private equity and alternatives world from the GP perspective, which I am coming from, and also from the investor perspective, where Gunther is coming from. He's principal advisor at the European Investment Bank. Round about 7 years ago, we had the idea of creating such a course. And Stefan already highlighted the growth of the industry in the recent years. And we collected some topics which we thought might be of interest. And with that, we then approached leaders of private equity firms, partners at law firms, and the big four, service providers, and of course, our friends at the Luxembourg Private Equity Association. And the program, as it stands as of today, is the result of these discussions, of the input of all these industry leaders. So we are proud to have this program providing the big picture of the alternative industry and linking all the important topics. So it is a university certificate. Everybody who will complete the certificate will receive a certificate from HEC Liège that he or she accomplished it. But let's go a bit more in details about the topics. So we start with an overview of the course and highlighting the different matters and the path how we will elaborate in a bit more detail. We show the structure of a fund and the organization. We then show the life cycle of an alternative fund and how money is being raised by the fund from investors. Of course, there are important topics like tax structuring and also legal aspects, how a fund is being set up and maintained, and we will discuss this as well. When it comes to the assets of the fund, of course, valuation of the assets is an important topic too. The idea behind alternative assets is value creation. We will discuss that. How is the value created by the fund managers? And also Stefan has mentioned that a topic that we have added over the years is ESG and sustainability, a topic that is becoming more and more important for the industry as such. We then cover all the different asset classes, starting with private equity, of course, which is always our main topic we will look at. But we will have a dedicated session also for venture capital, maybe one of the most interesting sessions every year. We will cover these so-called real assets, which means real estate and infrastructure. We will discuss private debt as maybe the most booming asset class at the moment. And we also have a session about fund of funds, so funds that invest in other funds, in PE funds, and also a strategy called secondary. However, our idea was not to teach this from an academic point of view. We always thought we would need the practical angle. And this is why we have in almost every session an industry leader coming to the course, discussing with us and the students the particular topic. For example, we have here today Ben Scotty from Macquarie. Ben is a guest speaker for this course since many years, but he is just only one example. We have lawyers, we have people from the Big Four, we have people from the asset managers discussing their experience and their knowledge. And with that, we think we provide a unique practical experience for the students. At the end of the course, there will also be a work to be completed in groups. And we ask our students to do a kind of pitch deck. So the students take the role of a PE house or other alternative asset manager. They can choose the asset class and to write a deck to investors. So highlighting all the important and different aspects. And again, here is the link between all the topics we will have discussed in class. That's it for the moment from my side, and I would be happy to pass on to Ben Scotty of Macquarie.
Thank you, Jens. Hello, everyone. So I actually joined the program towards the beginning, so 6-7 years ago, as a lecturer. And basically what got me interested into the program is my own experience. Started at PwC in real estate, then went into a private equity house, the associate, and now today in an infrastructure asset manager, Macquarie. And the biggest thing that struck me over the years is that the knowledge that I've acquired is basically coming from the relationships I had, from the people I met, for the question I asked to people around me, be it asset managers, be it service providers, lawyers, people like Jens, directors on entities and funds and GPs. And basically, the second thing that struck me is that in the market, there isn't a lot of knowledge, public knowledge available when it comes to private equity. Private equity remains a domain that is very secretive and private, so to speak. That's a bit of the definition of this alternative space. Each asset manager does its thing to manage its asset and acquire its assets. And I thought at the time that's actually a good idea to get together a group of people, experts in their field, to talk about their asset space. So yeah, that's a bit what got me. And I have also experienced that throughout the years. Every private equity transaction is different. You can acquire 10 times the same commercial asset. It will probably be different each of the 10 times. And so, maybe the structuring will be different. Maybe the legal issues will be different. Maybe the financing will be different. The fund buying and the country where it's coming from will be different. And in the private equity space, there's a lot of different things you can do to articulate that. And so that's where I thought this is very interesting. On my end, I teach value creation on the program, and that comes from a lot from my experience in private equity before, when I was firsthand involved with portfolio companies, going to meet them, meeting the CFOs, meeting the operatives of the asset, and trying to help them streamline and improve their function, how they report financial information to the GP, and all this discussion kind of escalated into a lot of how do you do things, and let us tell you how we have seen things on the market. And again, it's this thematic of sharing knowledge between people, between asset that operates on the middle market and wants to grow, and so need knowledge and capital and help. The asset manager is key in that process. It's their role to show them how they can make value with their product, with their service, with their technology, through the own asset manager's contact, the asset manager network, experience. Usually an asset manager will be specialized in this or that industry because they have acquired several assets, they have grown several assets. And there is a lot of things that we bring as GPs to the table to help these assets grow. And the goal of my course is to show what are these different methods, being some could be legal arrangement, could be asset management initiatives, could be structuring, could be how you finance this asset to extract the value, because value is everything. Value is what you do with the product, but it's also how you extract the value of that product. And at the end of the day, if you cannot extract the value, then it's good you have created value, but it's not worth any penny at the end of the day. So that's a bit of all these different topics that we approach in the course, and you that have gathered from my experience. I think the forum of the P course is also super interesting, because I have seen throughout the course that you meet a lot of different profiles. And in the room with me, there were people from service providers, from banks, other asset managers, people not even from the P industry to begin with. Some people were engineers, doing a master's in finance or trying to pivot into a new job. And I have also learned by talking with these people, even if I am the lecturer, I've also learned, different angles, and people in the room are actually super senior at times as well, right? I don't think there is, in private equity, I think you can learn at any stage of your career, which is also very interesting. So that's a bit what the program, I think, is bringing to people. A lot of experience, a lot of sharing. I think the sessions are very open, and people can get ideas from everywhere. And I think through the project you have also that Jens talked about, this project at the end of the course, you can use a lot of this discussion you had. So yeah, I think it's a very nice opportunity for you to learn. You'll probably also meet some of these people, your colleagues in the course, and us bringing you the tools to evolve and make very good use of the knowledge you are acquiring from this. So yeah, that's a bit what I wanted to say. I think I will hand it over, I think, to Stefan or you, Jens, again, to move forward with some discussion.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, we also have Smain on the line. Smain is a former student of the course and completed it beginning of 2024. And I would like to invite him to share a little bit his experience he made during the course.
Thank you, Jens. Yeah, few words about who I am. So, Smaïn Bouchard, I'm Client Relationship Director at HEC since more than a decade now. I'm basically handling a portfolio of clients, corporate and institutional, mainly PE firms and asset managers. So HEC is a global investor service firm. We have 750 billion of asset under administration. We operate essentially in three segments, so fund and asset management, corporate debt capital market, and private wealth and asset owners. So as a professional of the financial sector, so I've been dealing with a large type of clients, but essentially with institutionals and PE firms since several years. And over those years, I acquired a kind of experience from the ground, considering that when I was a student a long time ago, I studied management of companies, financials, etc. However, there was not a real focus on private equity. We touched the private equity, but let's say it was not the core of what I've been doing at that time. And I got acquainted more deeply with PE, and I like it. First as an accountant for SPVs, etc. Seeing a lot of type of deals, different size of PE firms as well. And from year to year, I was thinking that, okay, I have acquired this experience on the ground, but in a certain way, I would like to validate it, through a kind of diploma or certificate. So I was searching about something that could combine very good academical supplies of knowledge, but also to be really practical, because I'm coming from the ground. So I got this information because about the existence of this certificate through emails as HEC, of course, as a service provider for investors. We are a member for a long time of the LPEA, and I got this advertise, and this captured my attention, and I discussed with my lean manager and with our HR, and they signed for it, and we thought that indeed that's something that is valuable for both the company and myself. So this was a kind of partnership once again, and so I decided to start this certificate in 2024. For the course in itself, I think that guys, you already explained the content, etc. So I will not necessarily come back on this, but what was interesting really is that what I was looking for, theory plus practicality and people from the ground, I think that I got what I was looking for. Indeed, so there was not a lot of boring theory, I would say, where you stay in front of a lecturer. It was rather dynamic and very, very interactive. Of course, what was even better is the fact that the people intervening are, for most of them, professionals and coming from different background. And for each session, there was, of course, a particular topic, but there were some particular lecturer. And the idea that we are able to have access to them and to ask question, really sometimes a really tricky question, was really interesting. And the type also of assignment, rather than going through all the materials and having a kind of very academical exam. I think that the idea to have rather a kind of use case where a group of students is presenting their idea of launching a fund, for me, it was really great. It was one of the best experience that I got. The chance to have in terms of trainings and the way basically to get an assessment of the skills and the knowledge acquired during this journey. So indeed, a group of people. So I get acquainted with several other students, and we decided to go for a fund that was specialized in the luxury sector. And I think that we all enjoyed very much the experience. Each one came with its own assets, its own skills. And this was, I think, reflected pretty well into the outcome. And to be very frank, I really strongly recommend this PE certificate for people that are interested to get acquainted with PE or to validate their skills, etc., because it gives really a practical knowledge, a practical approach of how PE works. And for professional, this is, I think, what we need. And I'm certainly also confirming here that on my day-to-day job, there are many aspects that I'm using, that I learned, or that I refreshed within this course that I'm using on my day-to-day job. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, Smain. Appreciate it. Yeah, before we come to Q&A, maybe let's talk a little bit how to build or to advance a career in the industry here in Luxembourg. Again, Stefan has highlighted some figures. Maybe I can add one. The last PE house I was working for, we had 8 employees in Luxembourg. And nowadays, this PE house has almost 200 people in Luxembourg. So you can really see the evolution, and that really skilled people are needed. But we also had cases where people attended the course with no prior private equity or alternative knowledge. I remember a student who was a client relationship manager at Vodafone. and he was just interested in private equity. He was not sure if he should make a career, but he was so interested, and he even finished best in our course, that he then switched from client relationship management at Vodafone to a PE house. So both is possible. You can attend the course without basic knowledge. It might be then that we ask you to read a little bit more before we discuss a certain topic, but this is also possible. Maybe Stefan, what are your ideas about building and enhancing a career in private equity?
Thank you, Jens, and also to Benjamin and Smain for really sharing all their insights, their experiences, and also a little bit more intimate stories, what they liked, how they have built it, etc. To respond to your question, Jens, yes, you're absolutely right. This is a very interesting course which allows you to get really the right holistic overview. It's important to understand from the beginning of a fund until the end the different strategies and also different operational angles, the different key timings, and also what's happening between that kind of duration. It should also be seen as a very interesting tool to either upskill or reskill yourself, because if you have even a financial background but have, for example, touched more the liquid or classical standard asset management styles or strategies, this is interesting because you already come with a package, but you add on top the alternatives angle. You will see some let's say, elements which resemble a lot, and some others which are completely different, be it now for the fundraising, for famous capital calls, for closed-ended funds, but also the investment process. Benjamin explained also in detail the value creation part, which was one of our favorites, and that also completely makes our industry really different from other ones, because here we are here for the mid-long-term perspective. We want to transform the firms we have acquired or at least invested into, and then want to make really the best out of it and then sell them on later to either the next private equity fund or trade sales, so to other players who are active in this industry, for example. And what is super interesting is that the target companies in the portfolios, so of the funds, they have lots of different activities. It can be chemistry, it can be wood furniture, it can be also just pure technological, let's say, innovation, like in startups. It can be also medical devices. It can be lots of things. So there are no limits around that. So if you are, as I was mentioning before, kind of a fan of operations or finance and entrepreneurship, this is really a sector, if you get close enough to the deals, which you will highly appreciate. And in order then to create such a fantastic career, then it is really a question of curiosity, of showing your interest day after day, of being very proactive, of really wanting to learn from the best, because I have to admit, you will really meet brilliant people, brilliant experts, and also practitioners. And that is a real chance. It's very international. And also, if we succeed in making Luxembourg even more interesting and appealing for new profiles, including investor relations and also financial analysts in the future, but being progressive and also realistic, that might be very interesting also. And with such a course, I think then you would also be, again, very well equipped.
Thank you, Stefan. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is not about the accounting matters, the valuation, or the legal aspects. Behind these investments are so many different industries, and you automatically learn from that. I just remember that my company was acquiring a big hearing aid provider, and I became an expert for hearing aid. You never know, I might need it in some years, but then I know exactly about this industry. Ben, you also have people responsibility at Macquarie. So how important is this education part at Macquarie?
Well, I think people in big players like Macquarie encourage a lot around training yourself over years and keeping and training others as well. I think one of the key aspects of alternatives is because it's so specific, there's a lot of knowledge sharing that happens between the people. I think every time you hire someone, there's a big training curve because, as we said before, when you come to the alternative space, there is no school preparing you to the alternative space out there. So there's a lot of that involved into the people and the relationship you have with people, the training. So as you said, when you come already with a prior experience or, such as the LPEA degree, then that's a big plus because people will appreciate you being curious and you being responsive. You don't have to understand every time someone tells you something. As you said, you will meet, probably I met the most brilliant people in my companies, people that can just understand concepts that you wouldn't even grasp just, in a minute, under like a minute, things that I never heard before. But these people are also very open to explaining to you. And I think that's where it's very important. Private equity is small companies at the end of the day. The biggest player are probably just a couple hundreds people in the world, and they manage billions or trillions of assets. So there is a lot of that sharing, and they try to upscale their people to make them better, because that's how you value the staff you have. And part of my job today is obviously sharing that, sharing the feedback as well, trying to get people to grow. And I would encourage people to be curious and proactive in that action as well. I know Macquarie, we have a lot of training options that are offered to us with some big coaching names like Coach Hub or GLG, where you can get trainings on everything and anything, being soft skills to management skills to very finance specific topic, or even like corporate or legal. And I think that's probably one of the key as well. Private equity players like to invest in their people, and you will see as well that private equity players remunerate and recompensate a lot people on meritocracy as well, because I think if you show that you're curious, if you show that you're interested, you will grow as a person and you will be recognized, and they will appreciate you moving forward and participating into this knowledge sharing session. For example, one thing that we do here at Macquarie is that every month, 2 months, one of the divisions, so being the tax team, being the fund management team, being the corporate team, being the directors or the asset managers, they come and they give a speech on something that happened, on a transaction or a specific topic or something that happened, good or bad, actually. Usually the bad ones are the most interesting as well, because that's where you see what goes wrong and what you can do to be sure that it doesn't happen again. So yeah, knowledge is key in our industry. That's how you outgrow. That's how you beat your competitors. That's how, as a people, you evolve. And I think private equity players have understood that. I think service providers as well are getting better into that knowledge sharing and trying to make their impact better to clients. So yeah, I think the people are key. We aren't a lot of practitioners on the place, but we manage trillions of dollars of money. So that's where you can understand that the people angle is key completely.
Thank you, Ben. Smain, what talent are you looking for at IQ-EQ?
Once again, please.
What talent are you looking for at IQ-EQ?
Okay, so at IQ-EQ, we are looking to many different type of profile. Of course, that preferably would have connection with the financial sector. We are hiring in AML KYC and a regulatory field, because this is an increasing, let's say, area, and this is something that we would like to ensure we have the capacity to properly service our clients, and also to have the proper talents with the proper knowledge. On the fund space, we are constantly recruiting people from junior level up to more senior positions that could manage an accounting team or a COSEC team, so a corporate secretarial. We are also always recruiting new talents within our IEFM, third-party IEFM. And the profile, as I mentioned, generally, if they have a connection with the financial sector, that's good. But for, let's say, new joiners, like juniors, etc., we are also open to profiles that are not necessarily having the first experience in the financial sector or in Luxembourg. And we do have internally our own, let's say, IQ Academy, where they could learn by doing, having mentors, etc. So we are also encouraging, of course, our staff to train during the whole career. We also encourage the internal mobility. There are people that would like to switch functions from operations to relationship management, or the other way around. People that would like to switch from, let's say, the corporate industry to the fund industry, or people that would like to join the IEFM. So we have several kind of bridge that enable people to continue growing and to have also the possibility to see other aspects of, let's say, the financial sector, and in particular in the field that IQ is involved too. In terms of external trainings, IQ is also generally encouraging people when they come with a project that could be beneficial for the person itself, but also for the company. Generally, they are very open and very supportive. As I mentioned, my request for attending this PE certificate was nearly straight away approved. And we have been also promoting this PE certificate internally with our HR team, because I think that for other people that would like to straighten their knowledge or to switch to PE or other alternative assets, this could be a good start, I would say.
Thank you very much, Smain. Before we come to our Q&A session, and please, you can ask any questions you can think of. As I always say, there are no stupid questions, just stupid answers. But maybe some organizational stuff before. The course will start on Monday, 24th of February, and will last until end of March. We have 12 sessions about the different topics, and the course will be held in the evening from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. I'm not 100% aware if we will hold it at the Chamber of Commerce, but maybe my colleague Pratikta can help me here. It depends always a bit how many registrations we will have. In the past, we held it at the Chamber of Commerce, or last year it was at the premises of BNP Paribas here in Luxembourg, because we had more registrations as usual. Question now, do we have any for us? Maybe Johan, you can help here.
No questions so far, Jens.
Maybe we can give it a minute so that one or the other question could be raised. Yeah, maybe then on the preparation for the course, a question we are often asked: is there a book that one should read before? No, there is no book at all. There is a little bit of literature, of course, available, but what we always recommend is just when you are not very much familiar with the next topic we will discuss, you can easily Google that and find some background information about the topic, and then this is absolutely sufficient, and we will make it as interactive as possible. And even if the topic is a bit more heavy, for example, when we talk about taxation of alternative funds, it is then an evolution you will see during the course, that the single matters become more and more visible to you.
I think we have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, I can perhaps read them through. One is, can you expand on the elective modules, on how many will be available for 2025?
This I have to pass on to my colleague Pratikshya, because I don't have the entire schedule at hand. Pratikshya, what about the electives?
The electives would be 4 to 5 that we'll try to offer in a calendar year, and it's sufficient choices for people to make during the calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
just
you for
maybe
that.
to give an example. So for my certificate, I choose the blockchain and big data. And the second one, which I'm still in the middle of, is portfolio management. And I can confirm that the quality is the same as the core PE course, with a lot of professional intervening and a lot of interaction and a lot of work on case studies. But yeah.
Ismail, we have one further question. Is the course suitable for relatively junior profiles around about 3 years in Big Four? Yes, of course. First of all, as mentioned, we had students without any further experience or previous experience in private equity. And also when junior profiles can benefit extremely from this course, because it will show all the different important aspects and make the links between the important aspects of the entire industry. So I would say absolutely yes.
And I think I got the best question from people not from the industry, actually. When I think of some engineer that, pivoted directly into finance through like a job opportunity internally, he asked the best question from his, engineer background. It was very interesting, actually. And, I like to ask, for example, personally, what's the audience I'm dealing with? Is it more senior people? Is it a mix? Just so, you can adapt a bit your reasoning and the way you speak, and, open for more questions, for example. Honestly, it's very open.
Yeah, and also I think that makes the course so interesting, that we have different profiles, we have different seniority, We have people with totally different backgrounds, working for a service provider, working for a Big Four law firm, or working for a PE house already, who want also to push their career further.
Yeah, so please consider that the PE certificate as a career booster, because here it's the quality and mixity of the persons around you with the high quality professors, experts sharing. That's really worth its value.
And also to add, in terms of a comprehensive offering of the electives, we try to cater to different aspects of the industry. Like we also have electives offered into basic corporate finance, then advanced corporate finance, risk management, turnaround value and value creation, and also sustainable finance. So we try to tap into all angles of the industry to give you a holistic picture. And these are all electives. So which of the streams that really interests you and can provide you a boost in your career, you can really make that choice.
And if you, let's say, compare Practitioner's modules and electives with the slide, if you remember, I've shared concerning the technical committees and clubs, you will see that you have really here a perfect match. So it's very important to be, let's say, best equipped in order to create that career boost and then accelerate it.
Indeed.
Praktisha, can you tell us when all the electives will be available?
So typically, the session will start, academic session will start, as you mentioned, 24th of February onwards. But then we also are offering an elective in the basic corporate finance mid-January onwards. So typically every 6 weeks, we're kind of offering electives, and the schedule will be released very soon, and we'll publish it on the website. But the dates of the private markets is already available, and you can download the brochure for a generic, and then I will send my email address for more queries in the chat so that you can contact me and then present which of the electives would be interesting for you, and I can give you the dates.
Thank you. There's one further question. Can you please expand more about the networking exposure in Luxembourg for both PE and VC? Yeah, good question. You all know Luxembourg is a small place, and the industry, alternative industry, is growing and growing, but still, it is very easy to get to know a lot of people in Luxembourg at various events, but also, of course, through the course. I know that people from the course are still in contact over years. These people formed a group for a project, but we also have seen that after the course there were discussions with the students and the guest speakers, and relationships have been created between them as well. So it's a very easy model to network and to benefit from it. I hope this answers the question.
And also on the LPA side, again, absolutely not selling any membership here, but specifically if your firm is part of the ecosystem, really don't hesitate to join us on specific events. Make sure that you're getting out of the office and participating, exchanging and networking as much as you can. We're absolutely in favor of that, of creating good relationship, and certainly also then to be seen as a community builder.
Thank you, Stefan. Any further questions to us? I think there are none.
There are none, yes.
Okay. Yeah, then we thank you all for participating in this webinar. My special thanks, of course, go to Stefan and his team, and to Ben and to Smain for doing it together with me. I hope I will see some of you at the course starting next year, and wishing you a nice evening now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jens. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.